Salinas at the California Rodeo. At the California Rodeo. Oh, yeah.
Welcome, everybody, to Saddle Up Salinas, the California Rodeo's official podcast. I'm joined here today with my co-host, Amanda Ginolini.
Hello.
And we are so excited to talk to our guest today.
He's got to be the second most interesting man in the world next to the Dos Equis man. He's a PRCA photographer. He's a funny guy. We can't wait to talk to him. Please welcome our guest, Fernando Sam-Sin.
Well, I'm happy to be on the podcast, that's for sure. You know, I looked forward to it. I was hoping you girls would invite me, and, you know, dreams do come true.
Well, Fernando's been a fan from the start. He texts us after every release and tells us that we're doing a good job. We hope everybody agrees, but we appreciate the support. We are trying to grow this, so it's so nice to have people in our corner like that. And we're so excited to talk to you today because just getting to know you the past few years, you have such an interesting story. And so we want to bring that to our listeners. And maybe we can just start with, you know, how your background growing up and then how you came to the U.S.
Well, I have a different background than most people do. You know, when I was born and raised in the Netherlands, you know, a town called The Hague. It's close to Amsterdam. And went to school and got a degree in economics. And to me, at that point, was very boring because economics is boring, same like studying law is boring, you know? And I decided that I needed to do something different. And I picked up boxing. And I started boxing at that time, you know, and I was pretty good. I even boxed to get to the Olympics in 1972, but I was not very fortunate, so I didn't make the cut. You know, and I didn't feel discriminated against. I just didn't make the cut because I was not that good. You know, and I was kind of skinny. I was like in kilos, I was like 63 kilos with probably like 120 pounds, you know, with my shoes on. And then I decided, you know, I need to build some muscles, and I started working out with weights, and that, you know, snowballed into something completely different. You know, that I start, you know, competing and professionally. And then I opened 2 gyms in the Netherlands called Inner Sport. And that's how I zagged way into the sport. And in 1972, I was in a town called Essen, Germany, where I met Arnold Schwarzenegger. And we stayed in touch. And then in 1975, you know, Arnold and I hooked up in Pretoria, South Africa, for a Mr. and Olympia competition. And, you know, we grew that relationship, and I kept traveling. You know, I went to the Philippines. I mean, I traveled all over Europe, South America, and I came to the United States, you know, for a competition called the Night of the Champions. Went back to Holland. And then in 1980, when Arnold was shooting the movie Conan the Barbarian, I was in Los Angeles at the gym working out. And in a 6 weeks period, his whole physique changed. And then we all flew to Sydney, Australia. And then Arnold decided to compete, and he won the Mr. Olympia again. And during breakfast, I told Arnold that I was going to move to Sydney, Australia, because I liked it. And Arnold says, no, you know, you got to move to California. And the same guy that vouched for Arnold's green card has vouched for my green card. And that's how my bodybuilding career, you know, took place in the United States. And then I met a fellow in Amsterdam, and he lived in a town in California called Sonora. And I was waiting for my furniture to be shipped. And, you know, and I remember that weekend, I landed in Oakdale, the guy sent an airplane to pick me up. I landed in Oakdale. I remember this guy telling me, "Welcome to God's country."
Mm-hmm.
And I was thinking, like, that's kind of interesting, you know, because I'm a city slicker, and then I'm in LA, and when I landed there, you know, we went to Sonora, but driving through that town, okay, was in April, and I saw all these cowboys, you know, and trailers. I had no clue what a trailer was. I had no clue about cowboys, but I thought it was kind of interesting and crazy that these people ran around with cowboy hats and boots. And then I ended up in Sonora, spent some time there, and then I stayed in Modesto at a hotel there called the Sundial. And you're all familiar with George Lucas.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's when he started actually the movie American Graffiti. And I stayed at the hotel there, and I decided that I'm not going to go back to LA. I'm going to stay in this town. And that became my next journey. And Arnold, the guy that, you know, fought for my green card, his name was Joe Weider. And Joe promised me he was still going to vouch, you know, for my green card, even though I was walking away, you know, from the sport. So I stayed still in touch with everybody. And that started my journey now into Modesto, California.
Wow. And you've shared pictures with me of you and Arnold working out in a gym in Modesto, though, correct?
No, I was in Southern California.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was in Southern California. I was still at the world famous Gold's Gym and what they call Muscle Beach,
Okay.
where you have the muscle pit.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know, at that time, you know, I had a six pack. You know, I still have it. You just can't see it.
It's a different kind of six pack.
So how
It's a
long did
different
you
kind.
bodybuild? How long?
Oh my God! From age 19 till age 28.
Wow.
You know, and I mean, I continued, you know, to work out, you know, and because of the bodybuilding, you know, and going to a gym, you know, in Modesto, I met some friends, people that I met that I'm still best of friends with today. You know, and one of them, you know, and the daughter today is an official PRCA photographer, and she was chosen, you know, to shoot the NFR in 2025.
Mm-hmm.
So you see how life, you know, sometimes takes you directions that you haven't planned.
Yeah.
You know, so and that's how it all, you know, more or less began for me, you know, being in the Central Valley and being exposed, you know, to some sort of the Western lifestyle,
Mm-hmm.
but it was still very dirty to me, the dust and everything else. That wasn't going to do it for me.
Well, you happened to land during the Oakdale Rodeo in April,
Yeah.
obviously. That's why you saw all those cowboys and horse trailers and all that. And then Sonora also has the Motherlode Roundup. So that's
Yes,
on Mother's
yes.
Day weekend. Yeah. So you were kind of there. So did you actually attend any rodeos?
Oh,
When you-
hell no. Not in a million years.
You were still too much of a city slicker?
Yeah, not in a million years.
So what?
One of my endodontists is a cowboy, and he is a roper. And I didn't know what a roper was. I know I'm a professional, right? So I'm talking
Right.
about the jargon. And he invited me, you know, to come and watch him. And I said, not in a million years am I going to be around these dirty horses, the ranch, the dust, you know. And at those years, you know, and I never even owned a pair of jeans. You know, I was always dressed in, you know, Johnson and Murphy shoes, Robert Graham shirts, Pierre Cardin slacks, you know, but it was, I mean, not even in my wildest imaginations have I even remotely considered a
Going
pair
to
of
a
boots or
rodeo.
anything like that. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So what? I want to go back to your career after the bodybuilding, but which was your first rodeo that you ever went to just to watch before you even started taking pictures?
Well, you see, what happened is my youngest one decided one day that she wants to take horse lessons. And I was thinking, like, I'm from Amsterdam, you know, we smoke some good stuff there. And whatever she's smoking, it can't be that good. Even though I've never smoked a joint, I got to give you that disclaimer. You know, and, you know, lo and behold, you know, we made an appointment, you know, with a ranch with a lady called Cindy Wall. She was also a battle racer, and her daughter, you know, Katie Wall. And I remember driving on that driveway and with all the dust, and I'm going, this is not gonna work. You know, and I got there, and the lady came, and I opened the window this much, and I said, I'm gonna pay you for 3 lessons, because I figured in 3 lessons, she's gonna get it out of her system. So I paid, never got out of the car, the dust, and it was disgusting. And then the second lesson, my daughter said, hey, and I volunteered you, you know, to photograph the Gymkhana. First of all, I don't know what a Gymkhana is, if that's something you eat, you know, whatever it is. I said, I'm not doing any Gymkhana. She said, yeah, but I promised her that you're gonna take pictures, because I was into photography a little bit. So when I got to the ranch that day to shoot the Gymkhana, I was all GQ. Johnson Murphy shoes, Robert Graham. I got my camera, I'm stepping and I'm looking not to step the wrong places.
Avoiding horse poop.
Yeah, and then
God forbid.
And then I got to the fence, and this gal ran around this barrel, and I took the shot. And when I look back in my viewfinder, I go, wow, this is unbelievable. I wasn't completely indoctrinated yet, you know, but I go, wow. So I shot it, you know, and then she had a 3rd lesson. I figured she's going to get it out of her system. No. She said, hey, Sandy is competing at this rodeo. I'd like to go. I go, whatever, you know, okay. We went, and I took my camera, and I'm, like I always do, minding my own business. And I got approached by this beautiful woman. I figured, hey, he must have recognized me from TVs or whatever it is. And she walked towards me, and with a stern voice, she said, you cannot take any pictures here. And I go, you know, my daughter's instructor is competing. That's all I want to do, blah, blah, blah. No, you can't, you know. And that was your co-host, the other twin there. And that was in 2000 and, oh my God, was it 2016 or 17?
I don't remember. It was when you first, we had another photographer, because you were there, and you had made some friends with some of the PRCA photographers.
Well, you know, I started talking, you know, to this hippie-looking guy. And I told him, I said, I've never shot anything. What do I do? You know, so he helped me out, and it was Richard Levine. You know, and he gave me his phone number, and that's how the relationship started. You know, and went back and shot, you know, and other Gymkhanas. And then one day, Cindy Wall said to me, hey, we won't do any lessons because we're going to Cowboy Christmas. And I'm thinking, these cowboys are crazy people. They got their own Christmas. I had no idea, and she's going to go to the NFR. I had no idea what the NFR was, because this was her annual deal. And she said it's in Las Vegas. But, you know, the rooms are expensive there, and they can get tickets, you know, because they got to buy the tickets from scalpers. And I have relationships in Las Vegas, so I said, let me make a call. So I made a call to one of my connections there, and I called her back, and I said, you go to Mandalay Bay, and when you get to Mandalay Bay, you go to VIP, and then when you get to VIP, you know, you will have, you know, rooms, 2 rooms, and you will have tickets to see the NFR. Vegas, she had the royal treatment. She even ran into Arnold Schwarzenegger, you know, and when she came back, she brought me a big box, and she said, and I wanted you to have this. She said, I'm going to leave. I have to leave the receipt in there because if it doesn't fit you, you can send it back and get a different one. And when I opened the box, it was a pair of snakeskin boots. And I'm thinking, not in a million years am I wearing any boots, especially not some snakeskin kind of boots. And I called my wife and I said, hey, I got this pair of boots from Sandy and I'm not going to wear them. Not in a million years am I going to be caught dead wearing boots. And she said, you're a big boy, you color yourself. So I called Sandy. I said, hey, I really appreciate it, but, you know, send it back because I'm never going to wear it. And by the way, why don't you buy me just something at Boot Barn for $100, $125? Gave her the boots. She gave me a gift card. And 4 or 5 months went by, and I was driving my Boot Barn. I said, you know, let me just go inside. And I found a pair of boots for $125. I tried it. I got home, and I have never worn another pair of shoes again. Not even one time. My daughter recently got married. I had my cowboy boots on.
I saw.
And my cowboy hat.
I saw. It looked great.
You know, so I just, you know, got totally, you know, involved in it. And then I started shooting some other rodeos like Oakdale. And then Richard Levine helped me, you know, with getting my PRCA card. And I got my card actually the first year. And then that same year, I shot the NFR.
Wow.
Okay, and this is going to be my 10th year shooting the NFR. And rodeo has done so many amazing things for me. Besides the fact that the relationships that I have built with people that I had nothing in common with, not even remotely. I'm a straight city slicker. If, you know, up until rodeo, if you shook my hand, I couldn't wait to go and wash my hand. If there was a fly in the house, I would never touch my food. You know, so and where I'm at today, that is just amazing that at this stage of my life, you know, that this is the best thing that happened to me. I remember the guy that at the ranch, Cindy Wall's dad, said, hey, it's cheaper to get her addicted to heroin. Because once you get into horses, you wish she was addicted, you know, as a joke, you know. But he was right because it's a very expensive, you know, pastime. And you can't be in 5%. You got to be in completely, you know, 100%. So that's more or less how, you know, it all came about and how it started. And you ladies have been very good to me, you know, over all those years with credentials. You know, at times, you know, during COVID, you know, you guys were at home and I violated one of the rules there. And even though she was on her deathbed, you know, she called me immediately like, what the hell are you doing there?
So, yes. So Amanda and I both tested positive for COVID during the rodeo in 20, what?
One? I don't, two?
2, I think.
Yeah, I
And
think
we
it was
were
22, yeah.
watching. We both just went to my house because we were both sick.
We're still working.
So,
as much
and
as
we were
could,
still
like,
working. I was sending press releases
Yeah.
and results and all the things from home and talking to people. And, we couldn't be there at the production meetings and all that in person. But yeah, we're watching it on the Cowboy Channel. And I think we saw Fernando on the fence.
in the arena.
In
and
the
I
arena.
was like,
Amanda was losing her mind.
what is he doing? He knows the rules.
Because I got stuck.
Oh, and Joelle too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
don't
the
worry.
amazing thing.
Don't worry. We get
One of
everybody.
Alex's camera guys too. We were like, get Joelle off the fence. Yeah,
I know,
you guys,
I know.
we weren't there, and you guys thought it was a free for all.
Right?
Yeah.
We'll show you.
Yeah, let me do this thing here again. Okay, here am I.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, there you are.
Okay.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
was a funny one.
Yeah.
No, that's good. And like I said, when the relationships that I have today, with Pendleton, with all the big rodeos, and when I go and shoot a rodeo, they always play my song Fernando, make me feel special, So I got a lot of airtime, and then my relationship that I built with these cowboys is just unbelievable, And I was in Nashville, doing the rodeo. Sorry, and I spent some time with Rocker. And he is, in a lot of ways, very misunderstood, because in professional sports, people gonna give you a label, and you live up to that label. It is almost like being a clown, and when you take the mask off, you're very sad. But when you got the mask on, you're the funniest dude in the world. And just talking to him, was, and for an hour and a half, just Rocker and me, and I wrote his mom and dad, a text, telling them, I spent time with him. He's an amazing kid. And I don't know if you remember when he won the NFL last year, the World Championship, I don't know, the arena holds, give and take, 12,000 people? I don't know. From all people, he ran to the corner there where I was, and on the Cowboy Channel, I was the first one to get the big hug. So that to me was very special. I saved it, and then the Wright boys. I got great relationship with the boys. I spent time with them. Actually, I need to get one more fast. They all gave me their fast that they competed in. I got the fast from Cody, his last NFR that he competed in. And that was my first NFR that I had shot. And I had no clue who these guys were. I was wondering, what's the big deal with them? But here I am today, with them, and they are the biggest, superstars in the rodeo, the nicest family. I'm gonna segue into a quick, funny story here. My spot where I shoot is right next to the bucking chute, in that corner. And I'm standing there, and the other guy that works the gate, I said to him, hey, tonight's the night. He said, what do you mean? I said, my boys are gonna kick ass. He said, who are your boys? He said, the Wright Brothers. He said, okay. Rodeo was over. Number one, a Wright boy. Number two, a Wright boy. Number three, a Wright boy. So I'm about to walk, and I said, hey, didn't I tell you my boy's gonna kick ass? And he looked at me and said, yeah, they're my grandkids.
Oh.
That's how I became really good friends with them. I spent time at their house, in Beaver. I ate my peanut butter sandwich there, and my wife and I make it an annual deal to have, lunch, with Grandpa Wright and Grandma Wright. She calls me all the time. We text each other. They are just amazing, and all these guys. I mean, in professional sport, these guys make a lot of money. in professional sport. 20, $30 million a year like it is nothing. And then they have a little ingrown toenail, and they cry like a little girl. Okay, but they make that kind of money. And then if you look at the Cowboys, the guy drives 11 hours. And then he got to wait in line at the secretary's office. Then he pays an entry fee. I've never experienced anybody paying $275 to get his ass whipped. It is self-inflicted pain. Okay? And then he gets in the arena and he gets bucked at 7.3 seconds. He gets back and he waits there and he helps the other Cowboys to win. And then he gets back in his trailer and he drives another 14 hours. And he has no guarantees. That's why I am so taken, by these guys. And the way I create relationships with them, because, it's very biblical. If you want to, have a relationship with people, you gotta break bread with them. And that's how I got really close with them. I make it a point, some to go to lunch, we go to dinner. I find out about their lives. I found out about, who's important to them. And you'll be amazed. Most of these guys, grandma is important to them. And I can relate to that because in my life, my grandmother was the most, driving, important, wisdom-filled, human being. And when you do that and you compare it, there is nothing like this. There is nothing when you go to a sport where they say a prayer, they have the national anthem, and everybody is involved in it. Each time when I walk in the arena and that guy or the gal comes with that flag, does something to you. And hey, are there issues at times? Yeah, I mean, you're going to find some guy in there that is a little bit off his rocker, whatever it is. But I'm telling you, it is no comparison. Definitely not.
Well, and you can compare because you were involved with other professional sports, right?
Yes, and there were a lot of guys, baseball players, football players, basketball players, and the funny thing about it is, and some of these guys that are retired, and Ken Griffey Jr., the baseball player. Ken Griffey is now a photographer.
Oh.
Oh yeah. And he shot, some rodeos. He loves it. And then you got Randy Johnson, the pitcher for the Diamondbacks. He's also into photography because, what photography is, it's not a team sport. It's just you and your camera. Mm-hmm. I mean, you gotta have a subject, obviously. And the amazing thing is, okay, people shoot basketball or football, whatever it is, right? I would not be able to do it. It would be boring like drinking water. Okay? But when it comes to rodeo, the minute you walk, let me backtrack here. We're living in challenging times, obviously. When everybody's stressed out. Everybody has something to complain about. But the minute you walk in the arena, it's like you're in a totally different world. Everybody has the same objectives. The crowd, okay, will cheer everybody the same way. Mm-hmm. They don't boo. I've never heard them booing a cowboy or a cowgirl, even though they compete with guys in their own town.
Yeah.
And that's amazing. And if I think back my first NFR that I went to, I remember we were in the Thomas and Mack, my wife and I, and we were walking, and I looked at my wife, I said, this is totally different than going to a stinking basketball game. You know what I'm saying? And hey, I'm not knocking on it, in other sports, but if I run into a cowboy by accident, he's not going to give me a dirty look. You go to the basketball game and your life is in danger. And if you happen to root for the wrong team, you stop running, and that's what it is with rodeo. When I have experienced some of these cowboys. I was there when they got married. I was there when they have kids. And now some of their kids, are 5, 6 years old on horses. And these kids, it is the best place to raise a kid. Like Mandy, you shared a picture of your daughter, right?
Right.
And it is the best thing you can do for kids. It was funny because during my daughter's wedding, I, did a little spiel, and there were people were talking about how smart she is. She's the smartest gal, which she is, And I said, well, my wife and I, we thought she was going to dance on a pole, And then she started battle raising. And even during that time period, because we were sending her to tutoring classes, and I was the one that was taking her. But most of the time, she didn't want to go. So her and I ended up at McDonald's. And my wife didn't find out until 2 weeks ago that her money went to McDonald's instead of tutoring classes. And look at her now. She's a critical care nurse, very determined, very structured. And I contribute that. And actually, Sandy Wall drove all the way from Modesto to be at the wedding. And I also made it clear to let Sandy Wall know, Sandy, you have, as parents, by default, you got to take care of your kids because that's what you got to do. But there are other people that help in molding them, and she learned the responsibilities. And that was, to me, the best thing that has ever happened, to her was getting involved in this environment.
Yeah.
And that's why I feel that these kids are so incredible fortunate. When I look at them, I go, do they even realize that? How fortunate they are.
No, that's true. It's definitely a family affair and multi-generations, and you're right about the values. And it's super refreshing, especially in these times. Like you say, everything's crazy, but these kids just have the core values. They love the Western lifestyle. The thing about rodeo too, being so patriotic and singing the national anthem and saying a prayer. It's a lot of tradition, and it's great that it continues like that. I don't see it ever. I don't see rodeo ever changing in that regard. And then you're absolutely right about the relationships, and that's something I always appreciate. And I've been now with Salinas for 20 years, and there are people that you may only see once a year, but it's like old home week, when everybody comes to Salinas in July, it's a reunion, and it's awesome. And like even you, I can't believe it's already been almost 10 years.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
Time does go by fast, but it's incredible. The rodeo industry is definitely unique and something to be cherished for sure.
And, the amazing thing is this, right? A lot of people don't really, understand how, the white collar workers, if you go to the PBR, 20% of maybe people that have a relationship with the Western lifestyle. 80% of those people, they don't. They just love going to the rodeo. And I do understand that approximately like 40 million people that are involved in this whole Western lifestyle, and if more people would be involved in it, it would be probably a lot more, peaceful. And then, Yellowstone definitely has helped. And then I'm thinking back, I went to a fight in Las Vegas with Charles Barkley. And I'm sitting in this room, and there were some big time celebrities there. Bruce Willis, you know, Charles, Roy Green, and I had another friend of mine from Modesto that I took with me, and we're all sitting there having dinner after the fight. And this black guy walks in. Cowboy hat, boots, belt buckle. And I'm thinking like, okay, and it was way before my cowboy adventure. I'm thinking like, cowboys are white guys. I've never seen a black guy dressed like a white cowboy. So I asked Charles, I said, who's this brother? And Charles says, why don't you Google him? Fred Whitfield, world champion. Okay. I had no clue. Well, okay, great. And Fred Whitfield, his last rodeo was in Red Bluff. And I photographed him at his last rodeo. Who in the hell would have thought that I'm sitting in Las Vegas there, don't even know how to spell horse, meet this guy, and then I'm there to shoot his very last rodeo. And he's good friends with Charles Barkley.
Okay, but you have to back up and tell us how you got to be having dinner with Charles Barkley, please.
Oh, you know what? And I was in one of my clients, because I owned a financial management company in Scottsdale. And one of my clients was the main guy at ESPN. And I had a meeting with him, and I had my son with me. And my son at that time lived in, close to you guys, lived in Carmel. And I'm in the studio, and this guy from ESPN introduced me to Charles, and he told Charles, hey, this guy's a professional bodybuilder. And Charles looked at me and said, no, you're way too short. Right? So he was talking smack, you know, and I'm this kind of guy. You talk smack to me, I'll talk smack to you. I'm too short to be a bodybuilder, and you're too tall to be a bodybuilder, right? And that's how it developed, you know, and the next thing you know, Roy Green, you know, Eric Dickerson, Julio Jones, and it all developed, you know, and I was fortunate enough, you know, my wife and I went to Tiger Gym, you know, and he doesn't have it anymore because of all his issues, but every year he had this clinic called Tiger Gym, you know, so when we were exposed to, you know, Michael Jordan, all these guys, and, you know, and Super Bowl, you know, you just name it. And I always said it, I would not trade a little ranch rodeo to go to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
That is just not gonna happen. You know, and like I said, rodeo has been, if I didn't have rodeo, I wouldn't know, you know, where I would be mentally, you know, and that has been a great escape, you know, for me. It's like everything else, you know. I was talking to the Gallo granddaughter even today, you know, and I called her and she was a little down. I said, you're down about what? I don't know. I said, hey, you got to understand, with all the money in the world, you can buy all the food, but you can't buy appetite. I said, all the money in the world, you buy the most expensive mattress, but you can't buy sleep. You know? And it's the same thing, you know, if you can't find something that at least give you an opportunity to escape, you know, you can buy that. You know, and it's the same. And like I said, you know, when my relationship with the sponsors, you know, and I look at them, oh my God, I hit a blank from Resistol.
Dustin
Noblin.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, we text each other, we call each other, you know, and the guy that ran Purina for the longest time, Dave Nelson, the nicest guy ever, you know, and we talk to each other. They make it a point to stay in touch, you know, and I would not replace that for anything. And if somebody had said that to me 11 years ago, I would tell them they are smoking something that can't be any good.
It's from Amsterdam.
Yeah.
I'm not-
But you definitely are the kind of guy, you don't meet a stranger, you know. You're so personable, and you're going to talk to anybody, and before you know it, you're going to be their friend before you're done talking to them.
Uh-huh. You see, that's one of these things, right? It's like what I said about breaking bread, right?
Yeah.
Like my wife always says, you know, everybody wants to be your friend because that's what you portray, right? Because there is an expectation. So you live up to that expectation, you know, but behind that, you know, it's a totally different world, right? You know, friendly and friends are different things, you know? When a kid like Rocker calls you and said, I love you, right? Years ago, that would be for me like, dude, you gotta change that, right? But that kid will always say that. The Wright Brothers will always say that, you know, and look at Rusty, you know, you follow Rusty, you know, he finally came clean about his struggles, you know, with alcohol, with, you know, some mental issues, but the outside world doesn't know because that's what he decided to come clean and say, this is what I'm struggling with. You see what I'm saying? Because we put people on a pedestal. So yeah, I'm very, like I said, I built great relationships with them. And some people, you know, they take the time to learn about you. But most of the time, you know, you go on with life and the next rodeo. Tilden Hooper, for instance. Last, what was the rodeo? I think was in Red Bluff, whatever it was. He said, hey, he said it in front of everybody. He said, I'm going to tell you. And I'm going to say it only one time. You're the coolest goddamn dude. And I will never say that again. Right? And, you know, yes, but I'm going like, if he knows my struggles, he probably would think slightly different, right? Because that's not, it seemed like, you know, let me use Charles for an example, okay? It is the public figure. But there is another life that goes on behind that. You know, he's a dad, he's a husband, and you know, he's a grandpa now. You know, he doesn't want to be away from his grandkids.
Yeah.
You know, so that's what it is.
Well, I would say that maybe Tilden would respect you even more because a lot of people struggle with mental health issues and don't talk about it, or, you know, they don't share, but it's so common. And with social media now, right? Everybody puts their best face, their best pictures on social media, but you never know what's happening beyond that, you know, what they're choosing to share. So I think Tilden would respect you more for knowing your struggles and that you're open about them and that you want to help other people. Yeah, absolutely.
And, you know, and that's what it is, because, you know, Cherie and I, you know, were talking, you know, about it. And she said, you know, when Rusty calls and talks to me, he said, every time he talks to you, he calls me, go like, I feel so good, you know, talking to Fernando. I always feel, you know, pumped up. And then she said, you know, he struggles with depression. And I said, Cherie, I struggle with depression too. And that's when it was quiet, right? And I never came forward with it until right before COVID. And it's nothing to do with COVID. You know, you go into these dark places. And one day my very best friend and I were talking, and I said, man, I'm going to tell you, I struggle with depression. And he said, wait a minute, dude, I struggle with depression too. and you've been friends for all these years, but you don't know. And that's why, it is important that people understand that it's real. You can't control it. You don't go to the store and buy 10 pounds of depression.
Yeah, nobody wants to, but it's great that you can deal with it constructively and proactively and, be able to help people.
Oh, yeah. I'm not embarrassed about it. If you have high blood pressure, you take a pill. And if you, struggle with that, then my wife calls that the Carla pill. She go like, my wife will know in half an hour if I missed the Carla pill.
Yeah.
And because they live with you.
Right.
Yeah.
They see the good, the bad, the ugly, all of it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh yeah, definitely. And that's why, like I said, I talked to Dave Nelson from Purina, and he said, that a lot more cowboys struggling with it, but it's a manly thing, right? The big manly thing. And he said, sharing it with them, and you'll be amazed how many of these guys are struggling.
Well, rodeo's a tough, any professional sport, but it's a mental sport, a mental game,
Yeah.
There's so many highs and lows, and they happen so fast and so quickly, and you can be on a really good streak, winning, and then all of a sudden you don't, and then maybe it gets a little worse, and then you're trying to come out of that. Like, mental strength and toughness is a big part of this rodeo game, and yeah, it's just easy to fall in and out of feeling good, not feeling good, building yourself back up. Having friends in the community to talk to about it is important. And I think, lately...
one of the differences is too, right? If you're a major boxer and they pay you $15 or $20 million for a fight, and you got knocked out, hey, I got knocked out, but I got 20 million.
Yeah.
The rodeo guy got knocked out, and he had to pay to get knocked out.
And he gets a fat hospital bill after
that, and then you got to
Yeah.
pay again to try to win money again. Like
Right.
It's I think
And
the guys
that-
the people that are successful in rodeo, amongst a lot of things, but they've learned how to, stay mentally tough and strong. Where if you lose, you're not losing. You just that one's gone. Get rid of it. You're gonna go to the next one. You can't let it get you down. But it does sometimes. Absolutely.
And you see, the rodeo, the way I look at it, is an umbrella. Okay? Rodeo is not a sport like football. Football is football. Rodeo has different components. You got, the tied-on roper and the team roper. They are like anesthesiologists. They don't have an overhead, right? They come, they don't get hurt. Okay? And then you got the bareback guys. Then you got the saddle bronc, and then you have the bull riders. So the bull riders have a shorter life expectancy as far as the sport is concerned. So the question is what are you going to do after rodeo? Because you got to understand, only 2 or 3% of these guys make a living and make money. They all live still from mommy writing a quick little check because they want you to live your dream. But it's only 3% of these guys. And that's why, it is important that they shy a little bit away from, I got to, bale of hay and I got your patch. Versus pay me for the patch and I make my own deal and buy my own hay in town. Because that's the mentality. And now you see some of these guys, are getting smarter. Okay? And that will help. And it's not like, in other sports that you got to work your way up. There is no tier in rodeo. And that's why one of the things I'm saying, if you win the NFR, if you are selected to be in the NFR, you shouldn't have to pay an entry fee for the next 12 months. Because you've proven something until somebody else knocks you off that plateau. That will motivate other guys like, wait a minute here, I'm next. And one of our favorite guys is Tucker Allen, right?
Oh, yes.
Look at Tucker. We've seen Tucker grow up,
Yeah.
and now he's a world champion.
And he still
You know,
wears his
so-
Salinas buckle. And we love that.
There you go. Salinas
He's a
buckle.
California
And
cowboy.
he takes time out of whatever he's doing to visit with the Golden Circle Champions kids if they're around. I mean, he's just a good guy.
Yeah. Well,
And actually, I got my belt, and the buckle is my Salinas buckle this year.
Well, I do want to talk about that too. One of the other things in the rodeo industry is supporting each other. The athletes all support each other, but there's a lot of cause marketing and associations that rodeos get behind. And most every rodeo in general gives back a huge amount to their community. You know, whether it's resources, money, opportunities for groups to fundraise. But one of the biggest things, and you say Tucker Allen, and this just came up yesterday, I think, is the Golden Circle of Champions.
Yep.
And Amanda and I saw you in San Diego when we were there for the Golden Day. And so that is an organization, a nonprofit organization that promotes and supports children with pediatric cancer and raises awareness. And so they do these Golden Days where the cowboys come out and they rope with the kids and ride bouncy ponies, and they get to see, you know, cattle and different things. And in San Diego, Tucker was paired with our little golden champion, Addison McWhirter. So shout out to Addie.
Yeah.
We love her. And Fernando was volunteering his time to photograph these kids. So they have the memories and we can share the photos with them. And that was in the Padres Stadium, which was really
in
cool.
the rodeo arena.
In itself, yeah, they built a rodeo arena in the baseball stadium. And so that's just one of the many causes, and my favorite at the moment, the Golden Circle of Champions. But these cowboys get behind it. Every year we send, I think, 20 kids to the National Finals Rodeo, and they get paired with cowboys and cowgirls to root on during the event. And those cowboys and cowgirls will keep in touch with the kids and the families all year long. Our little Addison, Damian Brennan was one of her cowboy, and I think that she had a care package from him waiting at home before they even made it home from Las Vegas. And it means a lot to them and their families. And as a rodeo committee, you know, it makes it so worthwhile for all that we try to do.
I love that organization. I really do. I support them, and every opportunity I have, you know, and I make sure I'm there for the pictures, even in Las Vegas during the Cody Johnson, the golf tournament. They are there, and it is amazing. And they honored one of those kids in Reading this year, and they do it they did it in Oakdale as well. So it's a good cause. And I know that the rodeo committees, they contribute a lot. A lot of the money goes back into the community.
Yeah, that's one of them. Also, again, back to being patriotic, the Wrangler National Patriot Program, we've been supporting that for years. Wranglers Bucking Cancer with also Tough Enough to Wear Pink. So if for people that might be watching this that don't know rodeo, that's just another aspect, and it's a point of relatability, right? Like so many people have been touched by cancer, unfortunately, but if you come to a rodeo and they're supporting that cause, then you're helping to give back to the community too. So I think that's awesome.
We all know somebody that has cancer, definitely. And the gal did in Santa Maria is doing a great job.
Yeah,
Tina. Shout out to Tina.
Yeah, I have to go back to San Diego, and I think you were going there, but it was so cute. Tucker, little Addison, he let her try his hat on, and then she wore it for probably 30 minutes. She didn't want to give it back, and she was having so much fun running the barrels with it on. I mean, being a cowgirl for a day, and Tucker just let her do it, and had so much fun. And those memories will last, for those families.
Definitely.
Well, and that's been growing. And in Las Vegas, I won't say they had to talk contestants into it, but they didn't really know what Golden Circle of Champions was. So finding the contestants to match with the kids was a little, you had to get 20 contestants. Well, now it's like each kid has 3 contestants because so many contestants
want to be
appreciate it and want to be a part of it and help. So I just think that's phenomenal.
Oh yeah, definitely. I totally in agreement with that.
Yeah.
So pretty wild. You went from boxing to bodybuilding, and then to
Yeah.
a rural area that you thought you would never ever go to a rodeo, like buy a ticket and attend. And now you're one of, I'd say, one of rodeo's biggest fans. We see you at all these rodeos all over the country.
Yes.
That's just, and it's opened all these doors and these relationships, and that's amazing.
Oh yeah, that's what it is. The relationships, and now, my wife's gonna go on the road with me for 40 days. I don't know if she's gonna survive it, but
You're gonna take her on the rodeo road.
she's gonna go on the rodeo. She's gonna be a cowgirl. She got her boots and everything with her. I might even give her a camera.
Yeah.
You
She should
should.
have battle raising.
Yeah.
You should document it.
Yes.
I know. I haven't told her yet, but I think I'm gonna let her shoot in Reno, because you got the pit in Reno. I'm gonna let her shoot a little bit, and I'm gonna let her shoot a little bit battle from outside the fence there in Salinas, where I started.
Yeah.
And
What's
and,
something that you'd say though over these years that you've been doing photography for rodeos? What's something that you've learned about photography, about rodeo, about in that aspect?
You see, with photographers, some of them are making a living, 100% living doing that. Okay, and I have learned that you share as much as you can. Okay, with other photographers, because Richard, for instance, is the one that I learned from. And today, Richard is calling me. He said, "Man, I taught you most of the stuff, and now I got to learn from you." So that's one of these things, right? And there is a group, good group of photographers, top photographers there. We're all doing the best we can, and creating relationships, with the rodeo committees. Every arena, has their unique ways of memorializing the events, and, I mean, Pendleton obviously is everybody's favorite rodeo. I mean, it's unique.
Very.
It's unique, and next to Pendleton, definitely, and I told you ladies in Pendleton and Salinas, hands down, there is no ifs and buts about it. And sometimes you can't forget, where you came from. And I feel that I'm a, Salinas guy. That's where I first got my, my first shot, and that's what it is. And the amazing thing is that you guys are still around, doing it. And like I said, your podcast is just completely blowing up. I like what you guys are doing with it, and keep moving forward with it.
Well, thank you. Is there anything that we didn't touch on that you wanted to talk about?
You know what? I think the parents of these cowboys, first of all, I don't charge any of the parents. If I know it's a mom, and I never charge them. I even make them prints. If it's a grandma, they got a canvas print. And in closing real fast, and one of these cowboys, I went to dinner with him in Tucson, and this lady had asked me for a print, and I sent her a canvas, and we were having dinner, and all of a sudden, wait a minute, you're the guy that sent my grandmother, this print. And that says it again, you can be a jerk about it, or you can be nice about it. And that's why when I call these cowboys and say, hey, I need your back number, sign it for a fan, they will always do it.
Wow.
Yeah.
So hands down, go Cowboys.
Go
Not
Cowboys.
the Dallas Cowboys.
Go rodeo.
Go
Go
Cowboys.
Cowboys.
Yes.
And cowgirls.
And cowgirls. Long live
Cowgirls.
cowgirls. No, and in that regard, it's awesome that you have the means to do that. And I know people are so appreciative, but we also want contestants to know the photographers are trying to make a living. Many of them, this is their sole income. So don't just screenshot their photos.
Yeah.
Make sure you're buying, the digital photo, or if you want the prints or whatever, to support them, and you all do such fabulous things for us, like as rodeo committees trying to promote the events year after year, or doing our souvenir programs. all the photographers are so great about providing the images that we need, and working with you all is just, it's awesome. And so we appreciate that.
I mean, I sincerely appreciate you girls, and I look forward, and coming back to Salinas, and I wouldn't want to miss that. I missed it one time because of my back surgery.
Yep.
And you remember, I was home after 5 days, and I called you and said, I don't care, I'm coming.
Yeah.
Against doctor's orders.
Yeah, and Amanda said, no, you ain't coming.
No. We'll save
so
your
bye.
spot, but you're not coming.
You better stay home, but we'll see you next
Definitely.
year.
Yeah.
There you go.
Well, again, we appreciate the support. So we are actually going to be doing a giveaway. So we're looking for people to subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can watch this podcast, anywhere you get podcasts, Spotify, Apple. We have links from our website that go to our YouTube channel where it lives. So we're looking for people to subscribe to our channel and like and share these podcasts. And we're going to pick a winner to get a Saddle Up hat that Amanda is wearing. These are hot off the press for our merch this year. So we're going to pick a couple winners. So please make sure you subscribe on our YouTube channel, CA Rodeo Salinas, and listen to Saddle Up Salinas. And I know Fernando is going to help us. He always shares the podcast and everything.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I'm gonna become a little bit more vocal about it.
Well, we appreciate that. And we loved having you, and we'll see you very soon in Salinas.
Yeah, thank you for sharing your story. And
Well, thanks again for having me.
yeah.
Let me show you my twins real fast.
Oh, yes.
Because you're on the road. You're
Yes.
you're en route.
I'm on the road.
You're in the
Here's
route
one.
to at Livermore.
Yes. Oh.
Your co-pilots.
Oh, my
Now,
gosh.
now they're even going to the rodeo with me.
Yeah.
Hey,
dogs.
hey, puppies sell podcasts, apparently. This is perfect.
Hey, well, I appreciate you ladies.
Thank you.
We
so
appreciate you
much.
too.
We'll see
Thank you,
soon.
Fernando.
Safe
See you
travels.
soon.
Bye, Carla.
Oh.
Safe travels.
They said safe travels to you. Okay,
Bye,
thank
guys.
you.
Bye.
Okay, bye.
At the California Rodeo.